What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me on the live feed. Got a lot to go over tonight. First off, I want to say a big shout out to Rob Henson. His car's down at Paramount Speed in Texas. 801 at 170 in his Whipple powered car. We're big Whipple fans here, so he's Team Whipple. He's been chipping away at that thing for a while here, and right there at that 7-second pass that he's been chasing. So we still got plenty of improvements in the weather here coming soon, and I'm sure it's right there, right around the corner. The really cool thing about that car, I'll try to bring up a video a little bit later on it if I can. I didn't prepare for that one, but he's working with Kelly Aiken at Keltrack on the suspension with his Kelly's really because of working with so many different people when he was at BMR, has gotten so much like practical knowledge, which is super important in this business. There's a lot that could be said about engineering, but practical knowledge on top of that is even more valuable. So he's touched so many cars and has so much experience there. His custom valve stuff is really working. I think I know Rob probably struggled there for a while on 60 foot. I mean, sometimes it would be good, sometimes it wouldn't. It'd be on the bumper sometimes, and now, it left nice and flat. It looks like it could take even more, and I think it went a 118 60 foot. So anyway, what else are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk. I've got just like 10 minutes before we went live, I got another rendering of the billet lid for the 2020 GT500. We've got that on pre-order. For those of you guys that want to get in on that, we've got a special introductory price. I'm not sure how long that's going to be, probably at least for another couple weeks. And we're going to have some different options on the outside. So if you're waiting to order based on, how the outside's going to look, we're slightly flexible there. I'll show you what I'm going to do with mine. Mostly going to be, stockish looking. It's going to accept the factory snake and the build tag on it. There will be custom options. If you want to do that, that'll be more. But that doesn't change, if you want to get in. I'd get in line now. I think we've sold 6 or 7 of them so far. So, it takes a little time to make them. So I'd get in line on this first batch if you want one. What else? We're going to talk about Mitchell Pope. His GT350 with a Procharger made some insane power with spray on top of it. I guess this is sort of the century episode because we're also going to talk about Walter up out of Ohio. Walter, I know Walter a really long time. I met Walter, in the early years of me getting into the Mustang deal. He had a 95, I think, back then. So what's up, Walter? So we're going to show you all about his car. He just went really fast in his car, like shockingly fast. So because we really haven't dialed it in or anything. I woke up to a really fast time slip and a log that looks great, but there's always more, and there's definitely more in his car. And I think we got more boost to go too. He's got a new BES engine. And Austin's car. We've tried to take that thing to the track a couple times, but it's been no good with the weather. So he's been out testing it in Mexico, and we've got some races to show you his versus a what is it, a C7 ZO6 and also a C5 that had a LS3 swapped in with the 150 shot. So that should be pretty cool. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let me pull up this billet lid shot. Check this out. So you can see here right in the front. Actually, Jeff, I said something to you in the message, and in this shot I don't notice it as much. But anyway, right here the factory snake, you can buy that separately. We're going to include that with the lid. So the main version will be this, or something similar to this. I mean, this is just happened today, so we have to look at it a little closer. But something like this, where the factory snake will go in here on the top, and then you can pull your factory build tag off your stock blower, or we may make some custom ones in there. I'm considering making custom ones that go in there and offering those. And then you can completely forget about the stock look and go with like a totally custom top, but that's going to take a little bit more time and effort, and that's going to cost more money, and we'll get with Jeff on that. But anyway, check that thing out. It's going to be pretty cool. And we're going to offer that, like we do the throttle bodies, clear anodized and black anodized. And then, I don't know, we'll see what else we can do with it. Let's see. All right. Anyway, so how's everybody doing out there? It looks like fried chicken bar. Man, that sounds good. Tony Macaroni. That's a funny name. Steven Mustang 516 on the billet lid. Initial testing showed between 30. It's really like 34, 33, and 34 on two of the hits. So, and that's not really at maximum boost. I'd say closer to maybe 40 or 50 when you're fully turned up with the blower, and maybe even more. There's so many more things that we've got going on the 2020 GT500, especially on the blower porting. We're still testing out different changes there and really pushing it. And we're going to do some things that may even be stuff that I'm not even sure we'll sell, but experimentation that we want to do on the inlet of the blower. So, I just love doing this stuff, and Jeff and Brett love doing this stuff. So we're going to do it. If it turns into a product, that's great. The lid is one of those that did. It's just easy. GT3 start. I'm not sure. Oh, some PIDs after rescanning the vehicle on Engage. I'm not really sure. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you may have to, if you're picking the same thing each time. Sometimes I've had to pick different things. What's up, Jess? Hey, Sean. Yeah. Is it burned up yet? The new clutch? No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully it's good. How you liking that new clutch? Jess has got the twin turbo Hellion car that we tuned. I didn't really post much about that because the night that she got it off the dyno, she burned up the clutch. So we were waiting for that to get fixed up. So we'll be talking about that car here real soon. Sean at United Performance, just south of us, put that car together with the Hellion twin turbo, and he just now recently put in a Ben Calmer transmission in that with a new McLeod RXT, probably, I guess. I'm not really sure. Ben, you broke hopefully you didn't break your trans. Ben here in the comments is Jess's husband, and he recently he has a 17 performance pack car. We just did a Whipple on his, and his car made spectacular power. We'll be doing a lot of videos on his car soon too, maybe racing them against each other. Well, his lasted a little bit longer, I guess. All right. So, Tony Macaroni, why is mechanic work so expensive? Any tips on how not to get screwed by shiesty wrench twisters? Bad mechanic work is expensive. Good mechanic work is priceless. Right? You just said it right there. It's easy to get screwed over, so if you're looking for cheap and worried about getting screwed over, those two don't go together very well. You have to pay for the good stuff. And, recommendations, word of mouth. That's it for working on cars, at least. So, anyway, BA Motorsports, what's up, Brandon? Brandon is the one taking care of Walter's car, the Procharged car that we're going to talk about tonight. Really one of the baddest. It's I guess it is the baddest Century street car out there for sure. Right, that I know about. In internet Facebook world record deals, it's at the top of the list. I think it's the fastest Century 6R or 10R. It's probably the second fastest supercharged period. I think Scott Hasty might only be the fastest 6R. What's up, Paramount Speed? All right, guys. What I'm going to do now is we got some good amount of people in here. I want to show you, let's see, what we can talk about first. Let's talk about Mitchell Pope's car. This car has been around for a little bit, but it just hit some really, some new bests, I guess I'd say. Let's look at it right here. Here's a picture of it. It is a Procharged setup. As you can see there behind the throttle body, it also has some nitrous on it. This is a GT350. He's always been like super crazy with the power on this thing. I mean, he was making 1,000 early on in the GT350 world. And then, you know, he's gone through a couple different issues with making that kind of big power, and it's finally, you know, everything's come together for him, I think. Here's another picture of the car. This is like a true street car. Like I said, GT350, so it's a stick shift car. I think I got a dyno video. Let's watch that real quick. It's not the best quality, but it'll work. This is on a hub dyno at TKM. They built the engine. Man, that's a fast pull. Pretty crazy. Let's look at the dyno graph here. That is, I believe that is on boost only, and then the nitrous. So pretty crazy numbers, especially for a stick shift car. It's going to be a lot to handle. But I guess you can pretty much, the boost comes in nice and progressively, and then you can hit the spray whenever. I'm not sure how he controls the spray, but you know, Rob tuned that car. He's been tuning that car for quite a long time now. So another crazy car. We've had a lot of really pretty crazy cars come across the dyno lately. Anyway, so we'll tell you more about that car as things progress there. That just happened with the power. The other car I wanted to talk to you guys about is Austin's NA car, which we've talked about a little bit. Doug 350Z TT. No, that is not a stock transmission. That car has been, that's not a new project. It's newly finished, you know, with everything done to it, but no, it's not a stock trans. I'm not sure. He knew we were going to talk about his car. I'm not sure if he's in here, so he can hopefully answer you. If not, I'm not really sure. All right. Anyway, sorry guys. I'm just kind of scanning through the comments here real quick, but any kind of real important questions we'll hit a little bit later on. So I want to go over Austin's car. Like I said, Austin's car is a Gen 3 setup. I've gone over it in the past, but we'll go over it again real quick. It's a stock short block. It has head games, heads, comp cams, Cobra Jet intake manifold that he ported himself, the PMAS cold air kit, runs on E85 in these videos, you know, pump E85. Made like I forget what graph we posted, 530, 540. We're experimenting with some things. We're using Racy 85 in it, but right now this is there's Mitchell Pope. Hey, what's up? That's his car. It's got a built T56 Magnum XL for the person that asked about what transmission was in that GT350, which would be my choice of trans for a setup like that. I really like that transmission. I've driven it in a lot of cars, a lot of Coyote cars, and I like the way it drives and shifts. So anyway, Austin's car. Let's another thing I'm excited about is my new drone. So I'm going to show you a video of that real quick. And I did it on Austin's car. All right, anyway, like I said, Austin's car, it's NA. It runs on pump E85 right now. And I got some video. I got a couple different cars he ran, 2 cars. This is a C5 with an LS swapped in it. LS3 with a 125 shot. I think it's a fairly decent effort car here. Let's watch that real quick. Thanks, Tony. It's one of the things I enjoy doing as a hobby outside. I mean, obviously it comes in handy for the channel here, but I enjoy doing the video editing period. This is a vet on spray versus Coyote NA. Here's another run. Here's the last run. I don't know. I'm not sure. This might be the first run. I think I clicked on them in the wrong order. It's purging. That must be the first run. If the people are wondering, yes, Austin is a midget. This is in Mexico, by the way. I think he spun there. Anyway, that car gets down. I got another video, though, that I want to show you, which was in the thumbnail, which is versus a C7 bolt-on setup that said he made 680 to the wheels. So now don't keep in mind, it's NA Coyote here. Now, Austin's car is definitely a little bit light. We haven't had it on the scales yet, so I'm not even going to say what it weighs yet. We'll have, a much more complete video on that car here real soon. We'll probably do like a feature deal, drive it around, talk to him about the car, and then track video. But we just haven't really had much time to get it to the track. We've tried. It's just been raining. Suspension work on that, Austin. Well, if you want to know actually about the suspension work, you can always hit him up direct. And he can help, spec it out for you and sell it to you. I'm sure it's got some BMR stuff on it. Grocery Getter. If you want to save that question until a little bit later, we'll get to a Q&A where we can go into more detail. I want to keep moving on Austin's car here. Anyway, here's another video. Oh, by the way, that footage was given to us by Frank Sonic C6 Vet on YouTube. Big help there. And this next one is by Can I Be Frank, who is another local guy that does a lot of videos around town, and luckily got this on video. So let's watch his video.
We got a bolt-on C7 ZO6 on E50, NA built 3rd gen 10-speed. Got the GoPro when you get a flyby.
Considering we're really just getting Austin's car dialed in, I was extremely happy with the way this race turned out. Very, very, very happy, because I think there's a lot more here. And, you know, this is a good example of a pretty badass street car that you're going to run across. And to do this NA against it, it's pretty cool to me. Very, very cool there. So the real cool thing about that is, you know, that car just got done. So we've got some more planned for that, and they already have a rematch plan. So we'll make sure we get some even better video. Thanks to Sonic C6 on YouTube, Sonic C6 Vet, and Can I Be Frank for all those video clips. Hopefully I'll be getting out some of that stuff with my GT500 soon if I ever unstrap it from the dyno. Anyway. Yeah, Brandon. Me and Brandon have NA roots, even though we do a lot of this power adder stuff now. NA is really how me and him both got started in this on the 2-valve days, and it's crazy what kind of power. I mean, Austin's car can make more, and we're going to make more, and maybe we've made more, but we posted like a 535 graph. And back when I was racing in the NMRA, you know, and Brandon was racing in we were both racing in Pure Street, or helping people in Pure Street, whether it was our car or another car with a 4-valve car. I remember when we made the jump from like 420, 425 up to 480, like we were close to 500. We were like doing backflips, like couldn't believe it. And now, you know, this bolt-on car with a stock short block is making, you know, 530 plus. Pretty crazy. So, and obviously with, you know, different short block and more work there's all kinds of things you can do to even get higher than that. So anyway, that's Austin's car. Joe. Awesome. Joe got a tune from us and is real happy with it. Yeah, Brian lives on. I saw that. I don't know if he posted anything more than that little clip of the video, the little teaser of the wreck, but man, I didn't hear from anybody directly about that. I only saw it on YouTube, and that was pretty bad. For those of you guys that haven't seen it, the F-150 guy on YouTube that hangs out with Staying Mode, he wrecked his car, or his F-150, and there's some in-car footage. Actually, some good thing to watch there. When you're panicking, you know, it's easy to look at it and like criticize how the guy drove the car, and he did, you know, as far as driving it and saving it, I don't know, but for his own safety, he got really crossed up with the steering wheel, and on a car with an airbag, I don't know what happened to him. I'm guessing that will be in his video if it hasn't already been posted, but his arm was like this when the airbag went off, so it like bent backwards. I don't know how far it went or if he got very hurt on it, but if you're getting it ready in a wreck and you know you're not going to save yourself, just get ready for that airbag. That can really hurt, you know. Ruin your day. Anyway, how's everybody doing out there? All right, so the next car we're going to talk about. There he is. He's on here. What's up, man? Arm is okay, man. When I was watching that, I don't even think I noticed it in the thumb. I mean, I noticed it in the thumbnail. Like, I just looked at the whole picture, and I didn't notice your arm was like the way it was wedged until I watched the video, and I kind of saw it coming, and I'm like, oh no. But anyway, I'm glad you're okay. Did you post the video of the what happened? I haven't had it. Normally I watch that stuff at night, so I'll be watching all that stuff tonight if you posted it. Sorry guys, I'm just catching up here with the comments. Yeah, you know, Dorian's, I don't, again, I haven't really heard what happened there, but anything like that can happen on any of these videos that any of us are doing. It's very easy to look at them and criticize, and you shouldn't have been doing that on the street. But, like, you know, the reality is these aren't race cars. We're building these cars to have fun with on the street, and that's just, unfortunately, things that can happen. So as long as everybody's okay, you know, you build it better, and, you know, it's just a piece of metal. It sucks. I mean, it's heartbreaking when it's your baby, but you know that all that stuff can be repaired. So I'm glad he's okay. Okay, yeah. So everybody, go to Boosted F-150's channel and make sure you subscribe to that. And he's going to be posting an update about his little wreck there. Actually, you know what? Let's go. I want to look at that real quick. It should only take me a second. That's the nice thing about... Oh, there's the audio. That's the nice thing about these live feeds. We can take some time to do whatever we want. All right, here you go, guys. Oh, shit! Oh, shit! You all right? Pretty brutal. I think he plays in slow-mo here. Watch his arm. Oh. It happened so fast you didn't see it there. Actually, I think he shows it in like frame by frame almost. It's got some music going to it. At least he has a sense of humor about it. I'm glad he's okay. Anyway. If you want to watch more of that, go over to his channel, subscribe to it. He's posting his update Wednesday on that setup. All right, guys. So let's talk more about Walter's car. Walter's car is a Procharged car put together by BES Motorsports up in the, I think, are you technically in Milford, Ohio? The Cincinnati, Ohio area for people that don't know the geography up there really well. The, you know, Cincinnati area. Crap, what'd I do it? Hold on one sec. There we go. Cincinnati, Ohio area. Here's a picture of Walter's car. As you can see, it's like a true street car. I mean, those are the wheels he rolls around on normally. Nothing real crazy. I think there's a video. Oh, let me get rid of that. Yeah, it's got a little walk around video we'll show you real quick. I believe this car went pretty quickly with the stock engine, and then he went ahead and built it with the BES, Bischoff Engine Services in Indiana. BES is a super badass engine builder, another one on my list of people that I would recommend speaking to on your builds. BES was the builder on those Pure Street engines that I spoke about back in the day. And obviously BES has a reputation that, you don't need to explain, for me to explain. So, they're on the very short list of badass engine companies that I would personally use for a build. I used to use BES on all of our builds when I was up in Ohio. But with the long distance and the wait times, we don't use them as often. But if we were close, I probably would use them a lot more. Anyway, so this car has the Procharged D1X on it. Whoops, hold on. Sorry, guys. Circle D converter, 4 fuel system, 2-inch American Racing headers with the Blackheart catback. And BA did the 6R80 build in it. Brandon, what? I went 901 with a P1 SC and the stock engine. And then, is this pretty much the first time it's been back out since then, Brandon? Brian lives on. No, I mean, not in general. I wouldn't. The cam, I mean, if you're going all out, cams are worth it because you're going all out. So you need every little last bit of horsepower. But in general, no. And AES maybe if you're going all out. But on a boosted car, generally you can just run more boost and still be in pretty good shape. So, anyway, here's a picture of Walter's engine bay. I was waiting for an answer from... Okay, yeah, Walter's been out a few times, but, now that weather's getting a little bit better, he went out yesterday, and... I don't believe we were able to send any updates to him while he was there, but I woke up to a really spectacular time slip. So let's look at that real quick. Oops. Oh, crap. Well, there's the dynograph first off. 824 was probably on the stock engine. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure. I assume that was with the P1. And then 1,089 and 725 torque. And I assume that was with the built engine. Yeah, right up here, new motor. So, where's the time slip? There we go. So, on the time slip here, what's the car weigh, Walter? Yes, Tony, he is running a crank support. All right. So, anyway, looking at the time slip here real quick. Look at that 60-foot, 126. That's pretty stout for any car, period. But a car like this that's, truly street-driven all the time, you throw on some wheels and tires, head to the racetrack, and bust off this 843 at 159. Now, random someone, 159. But that's not even legit. It's way more than that because when we watch the video, you'll see we still have some tuning to do to this thing. The fueling and the timing and all that looks great. But here's one thing to remember when you're trying to maximize your car. It doesn't really matter how good the tune is. There's always something you can go do to make it quicker. That is why when you see in heads-up racing like Coyote stock or all these rules-limited classes, they continue to get faster, yet they're not adding power. Or maybe they are adding power, but they're finding different ways to get power, make things more efficient or whatever. Same holds true for a car like this. Walter went out and busted off an 843 at 159, and like most people would, be insanely happy, and I'm sure he is. I am. But the first thing I do is look at the log, especially because it's such a spectacular performance. It's like, okay, well, wow, I wasn't expecting that already. So let's look at the log. And, and the first thing I look at is things like timing and fuel, but there's always a lot in the transmission. So we've got some things to address there. So let's go ahead and watch the video real quick. Brandon sent me a video of that. It's pretty good. Sorry, guys. Psych. I'm going to change it over to just the video so my head's not in the way. There we go. Let's watch that one more time. As you'll see, it looks like it wiggled a little bit up, especially on the 1-2 shift, and then you'll hear it goes into 5th gear. Yeah, so, you know, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I also just see a ton of potential left there. A ton. You know, outside of our tuning, there might be some suspension tuning, or just the track itself wasn't that great. It looked like it wiggled a little bit there on the 1-2 shift, lost traction. We have some things that we might be able to play with converter lockup to make it faster. It's shifted into 5th gear, which definitely is going to make it faster at the big end with, you know, better trap speed. But, you know, I think it's going to make it quicker too. And we have more boost. So there's lots left. And then guess what? I don't know what Walter thinks, but this is only D1X. So, you know, is a 7-second pass possible on a D1X with a 680 on a daily? I don't know if it's daily driven, but whatever. Often driven street car. I don't know. I think so, maybe, after seeing that. So we'll see. Anyway, so I think that's mostly what I wanted to, you know, the topics I had lined out for you guys. Anybody have any questions or want to talk? The 5th gear shift on that was, yeah, I mean, we don't really want to go into 5th. It didn't need to go to 5th. It's just have to adjust the tune. That's how it works. So we'll, you know, make some adjustments to that, and it should stay in 4th. The DA, Walter would have to chime in, or Brandon, what the DA was. This is up in the Ohio area, so I'm sure it's getting a little bit better. I'm a little out of touch with that stuff down here. It's hot no matter what. Brian Lives, everyone give a thumbs up for PBD. Thank you. Appreciate you guys being in here. We got a nice chunk of people in here. Please share this, get more people in here. You know, I just want to do this stuff to kind of give you guys news and like things that might fall between the gaps, you know, because we don't, you know, I do most of this stuff myself on the media end of things. So a lot of things get missed. So I want to try to post as much as I can. And one thing I want to also do in this, if you're one of our customers that has a, and it doesn't have to be some world record, you know, as far as I know, this Walter's car is the fastest centrifugal, like Coyote, you know, stock transmission car, 6R80 or 10R80. And I think it's the second fastest supercharged 6R80 period behind Scott, who's just, you know, already been 7. So he's got a little lead on us there. But, you know, and I don't know exactly where Walter's headed with the car. Walter's saying 2,000 feet density altitude, so quite a bit left. Cincinnati, what is it's going to be October here soon, so you know, I would say they'll have a really good pass sometime in November. Will be like when they really, you know, time to. Brandon said the barrel was low and it was humid, so not really good. Not great on the conditions. The shifting had time to go, you know, improvements. So, yeah, we're looking at, I think we're looking at a very low or high 7-second pass if Walter wants to get there. Ben, am I taking the GT500 to FL2K? Yes, I am. Joe, should you get a retune if you got a tune on a bad valve body? No, not really, because they're not really making many changes that are going to be affected by the bad valve body. So, you know, most likely it just drove bad because the valve body was bad, but we didn't really make any changes in the tune for that. So, I'm going to go back here a little bit. How much of a tuning difference are intake cams on a Procharged car? Oh, as far as adding intake cams, I don't know. I don't think Walter has intake cams. I think they're stock. So I don't know, guys. I don't really see a huge benefit to cams in most of these boosted applications. Now, in something like Austin's car, you don't have the option of changing a pulley. It's naturally aspirated, so the cams work. Now, the whole like stick with stock cams advice, I'm talking about like Gen 2 or 3 Coyotes. They already do really, really well with the stock cams. Jimmy's 7-second 680 car, we had stock cams in that. I shifted that thing at 600 RPM. Walter. All right. Walter does have cams. He has the comp stage 2 blower cams. Is he making a lot more because of those? I don't know. His car's definitely doing well, but we don't do a ton of cams in the blower cars or turbo cars. But there are, if you want to go that route, you can do that. I mean, if you're building the engine, it becomes a little bit more a good time to do it. Obviously to pull apart a stock engine and put cams in it, especially if it's a blown car, I don't see it. Foxcast Media, Carlos said to let you borrow his Outlaw tune. Yeah, I can hook you up, man. Foxcast Media, he's got all kinds of really cool content on Fox Bodies, and covers a lot of the Coyote stock cars that we do. Walter, there might be some more cam tuning we can do on that. Obviously, the car's leaving well, so I don't really, there's all kinds of cam tuning that goes into something like that. On the dyno, you're going to obviously try to make max power, but on the dyno, sometimes it's hard to really get a feel for how it's going to act down low, especially, like leaving at the drag strip. So, sometimes you just have to experiment there. But, we'll talk off this. You really need to get a Facebook or Facebook Messenger so we can communicate directly instead of like sending smoke signals through Brandon. But not that I don't like Brandon, but anyway, there might be something there we can do on the cams for sure. It's obviously doing well. Random someone. Cams are a huge investment for, mediocre gains. Probably for most people. But like in Austin's case, he's going all out NA. He's not doing that to just go race these Corvettes that I showed you. He wants to really go fast on the track and, prove the car out. And I think it's cool, especially, that he's going to be able to beat. Think about that. That was a 680 rear wheel horsepower C7 Vet that beat him, but like it was super close. So with some more tweaks and changes to that car, there's no reason it's not going to beat that car or any other Coyote, normal weight Coyote, supercharged on pump gas. That's pretty cool. But, not everybody wants to do that. Not everybody can do that. The car is lightened. It's, a weapon. I guess that's how you have to really evaluate your mod list is like, are you trying to build a weapon or are you just trying to make your regular car faster? They're two different things, like Carlos Vera's car. It went 840s and Walter's car went 840s, but like nothing against Walter's car, but a lot more extreme stuff is done to Carlos's car because we're like really going far with that car. That's a weapon. It's not really like drive it around, go run, mid to low 8s. Like we're trying to go like 750s with that car eventually. So let's see, where am I at? Michael Terrell, my car feels sluggish since adding the intake cams. That can happen. Might have to do some tuning on that. Nickel White S550 has stage 2 XFI cams. Yeah, yours is an NA setup. On an NA car, if you're really like pushing it to go after it, NA, then yeah, I think cams make sense. I think it makes a little less sense boosted though, to be honest with you. Let's see, where am I at here? Google sucks. What's the most power you think Coyote could make on pump gas NA unlimited budget? For a short time, I was involved in a project with Ronnie Crawford, and we made 700 crank horsepower on a 93. And I wouldn't consider that max effort. From the approach he took to it, he knows what he's doing, and it had an intake that had like hundreds of hours into the intake manifold, but he was doing it with a lot of stock parts too, to prove a point. So I think it's there, but when you build an NA combo, if you want to make big NA power, like beyond, say, what like Austin did, right? Like Austin maximized what he could do himself, or like unbolt, send out. But when it comes to like the next level, the short block, there's a lot you can do in the short block, and it's not just it's engine building. Engine building is two things. It can be mechanical, or it could be kind of an art form a little bit. So that's really what it comes down to. NA, like you could take a good example. I used BES built Walter's engine back when me and Brandon we had Modular Depot. We were doing 4-valve NA in Pure Street, and at that time we had his car. It was after I had stopped running my car. We had his car, and we may have had Victor's car at the time. And, we were stuck in that. We were with one engine builder, and we were stuck in that 425 horsepower, rural horsepower range. Modulars were new to even considering competing in that arena in Pure Street at the time. So we thought we were doing good. And then finally, like after a few tries, we didn't really get anywhere. So we decided to switch to BES. And I think he picked up something like 30 or 40 horsepower NA, just taking what we had and like reworking it. So there's a lot of magic that goes into building NA power above and beyond just like a list of parts, because we didn't really change parts. So, to make truly awesome NA power, you have to deal with somebody who's really knows what they're doing. And Tony Bischoff is definitely one of those people. All right, let's catch up here on some of these comments. Do you think Boosted Kev 302, do you think going Whipple or Kenny Bell will be more efficient than going max effort stock blower on the GT500? That remains to be seen. If you go, well, I guess it depends on what your end goal is, right? So there's some advantages to the stock blower. Well, A, you could do this right now. B, in general, we can maintain fairly stock drivability because we're using, a fairly stock, well, a round throttle body like stock, but just larger. That we want to go even larger, but the larger throttle bodies sometimes add complexities. So everything has its place. Kenny Bell's place is going to be big power. You want to be, fairly unique. You want that old school look with the blower up top, because nobody really offers that anymore. So that's going to be the only way to get it. It comes with some changes you have to make to the car to get it on there. I think you have to lower the engine a little bit, things like that. But I think it's going to be a great option. I went out to California and helped Jerry tune on the Kenny Bell a while back. He went out again recently and got it all finished up. And when I drove it, it was really fast. It was fun. Sounded awesome. So, that's a great option. The Whipple's coming out with the 3.8, which is going to be awesome. We're still probably a couple months out, I'm guessing, before bolting one of those onto a car. But that's going to be a badass setup. So, yeah, if you take, say, a Whipple kit, which I have no idea what it's going to cost. See, now, one thing you have to remember, this is a big difference, especially when you're talking about GT500s. Now, if you're talking about 14 and earlier GT500, we're very used to blower swap kits, where you're mostly just buying a blower. There might be a throttle body and stuff like that, but it's just a blower. It bolts onto the factory lower manifold of the GT500. We're not doing that now with the 2020 GT500 because of the style of the blower. It's the upside down design. So really, if you're gonna redesign it, you can't use the intercooler, the stock intercooler, easily. So it's really going to be a little bit more of a complete package. Now, it doesn't maybe need as much of the front drive accessories that you need to add to a Mustang GT. They'll reuse some of that stuff, but you're not reusing a lower manifold. You're not reusing an intercooler. So a Whipple kit will probably lie I have no idea, so don't quote me on this. It's a guess. It's going to lie somewhere between what like a blower upgrade kit was for like a 13 GT500 and what like a Whipple kit cost for a Mustang GT, somewhere in between there. So, you know, what, $6,000, maybe $6-7 in there. I have no idea. So if that's the case, now you have to compare that to porting and everything that comes along with upgrading the stock blower. So you've got a port job and a throttle body and possibly an intercooler core, our billet lid, you know. So you're gonna realistically, an all-out stock blower setup is going to be in the ballpark maybe of a Whipple, but you know, you're also going to be able to make over 1,100 horsepower with that setup, and you're going to be able to make well over 1,100 horsepower with 3.8 Whipple, probably 1,300 or 1,400. But realistically, you know how much you're going to want to make. So it really comes down to, at that point, I think, you know, how you want to go about it. If you want to maintain the stock look, you're going to go stock blower and go all out there. If you want the modified look, then you're going to go Whipple or Kenny Bell. You know, or like the other, there's lots of things to consider. You know, not everybody's going all out. So what about a car that's just going to run pump gas? You know, is a Whipple a better choice at that point? Can you make more on pump gas with a Whipple than you can on a ported stock blower? A better power curve. Maybe the ported stock blower is a little weaker down low on pump gas than a Whipple can be. There's so many levels to this. It's just not an easy question to answer. What's the most horsepower you can make on a 2020 GT500 without having to upgrade the fuel system? Reliable, probably 950 or under. Well, when you say fuel system, it depends. If you're including fuel injectors. If you're including fuel injectors, not very much, because the fuel injectors are fairly small stock. So they're only 56 pounders. So, you know, you're in the like low to mid 700 range with the stock injector. If you just upgrade the injectors, then, you know, the rest of the fuel system goes very, very far. 950 on the 85 or even higher on race gas. That's what I have right now. I'm running mine on race gas. I made 1,100 just the other day again. That video will be out soon. I ran into a couple little issues that I'm working through that I want to put into the video to keep it accurate, but it's not done yet. Michael, on the car, yeah, we'll have to, the best thing to do on that, where the car may not like drive really great, is a lot of people think, you know, doing a log like this 20-minute, 30-minute log, like, man, I got them so much data. Like, that's not what we want to see. It's just too difficult to sort through. We don't have any easy way to sort through that stuff. Sorry, guys. I don't cough all week except until I get on my live feed, I guess. But anyway, the best way to do any kind of logs, especially in the case where you're trying to show us a drivability problem like this, where it just doesn't feel good, is send us the shortest log possible you can with the problem. So get in, if you can duplicate the problem, get in a position for the problem, hit record, do whatever you're doing that doesn't feel great, stop, and then send that with an email. One log, one short paragraph of here's exactly what I'm feeling, and then let us know. And, you know, at that point, we might be able to play with the cam timing, ignition timing, fueling, all kinds of things going on there to make it feel better for you. But if you just say in some 20-minute log it doesn't feel great, it's not really going to help us help you. All right, anyway, Ken Barrett, putting headers on my 18 Mustang NA. Will I need a new tune from you guys? Thanks. No, you don't need a new tune for us, but it's always best whenever you change a part to send us a log anyway to check it out, because you're going to verify your part, your labor. Unless you're able to look at a log yourself, which, I would encourage people to learn how to tune log or read logs themselves. Basically, I'm not suggesting everybody get out there and really dig deep into them, but be able to for sure know if the car's knocking, to know if the air fuel ratio and the fuel trims look good, things like that. So whenever you change something on the car, people ask me this all the time. Do I need a tune for this or a tune for that? The answer is no, but you still want to log it because you had the car apart. So how do you know you put it back together correctly? All right, let's see. Michael Terrell. Yeah, no, I'm not. I know you're not saying that, but it's possible that it is what it is, but we'll look at the log, because if we can make it feel better for you, then everybody that has those cams are going to be happy and everybody's happy. That's how the remote tuning game works. We want to hear what's wrong with your car. To a certain extent, it can definitely go too far, for sure. Pulling up, saying when I pull up to a red light that the RPM every once in a while it changes 50 RPM. If you're going to say that, it's kind of a little bit crazy. Sometimes that happens, stock. But, if we can make the car feel better and you can help us with the proper logs, we'll do that. Let's see. Nickel White, I need hit that 9-second pass NA. I got all the goodies and Rob tuned it. That'd be cool, man. We really want to see that happen. We got Austin's car. I'm very confident we'll go 9s. That I showed you guys earlier. And then we got another local guy that's a friend of Austin's. That's we're hoping to get in the 9s. So we got the BMR car, Dark Horse, that went 10-1, and it went 137. That'll be out soon. So hopefully we've got a whole army of 9-second NA cars. Just don't catch our GT500s. We'll be pissed about that. Google sucks. I looked for your bio and couldn't find it. Can you talk a little bit about yourself and how you got into all this? Yeah, I'll go into it really, really quick. My Google voice. What's the hell? Real quick, I got into it because I got a Mustang that needed tuned. I got into it back when this sort of tuning was a little scarce. There were some people doing it, but SCT didn't exist, for example. HP tuners I don't know if they existed or not. I doubt it. And if they did, they didn't do Fords. The only real way to tune cars back then was one of the guys who eventually became, somebody who I consider like a mentor or somebody I learned quite a bit from, Mike Wesley. He started AutoLogic Chip, and he was a Ford engineer, but he wasn't an engineer. It's a long story, man. I don't even, you know what? There is a great podcast where I go through all this that I will put in this description when I'm done. But basically, the guy who started SCT tuned my car. He thought we became friends. He thought I would make a good tuner. I actually went to college for electronic media. That's why I enjoy doing all this video stuff. And he convinced me that, or just at least told me, hey, I'm starting this new company. You might be a good tuner. It's a good opportunity. That company happened to be SCT. We were one of the first few SCT dealers, period, and one of the only ones doing it in the beginning nationally. We had an exclusive on the SCT Pro Racer package, which we sold to people that wanted to tune their own cars, and quite a few of those people that bought the Pro Racer package back then are now some of the tuners that you see out there. Bought that, and we had the exclusive with that with SCT. You could only buy it through us. We had a forum. I owned the company back then was called Modular Depot, or MD Motorsports, and then I left there to move to Florida to work for Diablo Sport, more behind the scenes. I didn't enjoy that very much. And then I left there to work for London Racing. I was there for 4 years, I believe. And then in 2016, I started Palm Beach Dyno. that's the quick deal. The YouTube, in case I forget to put it in the comments, the YouTube podcast where I went over all my background is called Bearded Garagistas. So you guys can look that up. I'll try to put it in the comments. How fast can I get a Mustang? Really fast. As fast as your wallet will allow. Boosted Kev 302. Did I do any suspension changes to my GT500? I'll start there. No. I do have the when you run the 18-inch wheels, the vertical link is real close, or the hardware for the vertical link is real close to the wheel. So I haven't changed that, and it did scratch my wheel. But there's quite a few options of those out there. There's a setup by SPE, which looks really good. And Cortex Racing also has a setup that looks really good. I have a set of those and a set of SPE. I just haven't put either set on. But that's really just for wheel clearance. I do have the DSC controller for the MagnaRide that's fully tunable. You can log with it. It looks really, really, really cool. And I'm going to dig really deep into that, but not until I get my car kind of... One thing that's always happened with all the cars I own, and it's happening now, and I'm trying to get to a baseline, is it's constantly not running because I'm constantly testing parts or doing things with it like this. So right now the plan is I switched the car. There's a video coming on all this, but I wanted to put the car in kill. 2.27 pulley. We got the new SPE supercharger idler pulley that I was going to put on the site today. I didn't get a chance. Put it on tomorrow. We'll have those ready to rock like right away, so I'd get those orders in. They're not real expensive, $139, and it looks great, and really helps with belt wrap on the pulley. So I wanted to try the 2.27 pulley, so I switched the car to straight. At first I went to MS109 and E85. I still ran out of fuel system, so I'm on the 2.27 pulley, and I made 1100 again, but there's some things that we're playing with there, and we found some new limitations, which Jokers is already working on a stage 853 blower port for me. We're taking all this information that we're learning really quickly with all this testing and wrapping it up into like a final few options in the blower porting for you guys. So anybody as far as Joker's blower porting that's interested in these new experimental ports, some of them are available, some of them are not, some of them, well, actually none of them haven't worked. They've all worked. We've gained and gained and gained. Anyway, that car is going to hopefully, once that's done here in the next week, well, I'm trying to get it to FL2K, so it's got to be, but I'm not going to put it in there for FL2K. I'll get the car 100% done on the good tires. I got the good alignment now for drag racing. I'll get it baseline, and then if I start to find things I feel could be better, I'll put the other suspension controller in and start tuning on that. Ben, yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. Brandy would be able to answer that, but we keep them in stock. So if we don't have them in stock, they're only out of stock for a day or two. They're on the way if not. Let's see, where was I? Procharger or Whipple, Daniel Mendez. I've been having trouble deciding 15 GT. On a 15, it just really depends on your goals and your budget and all that. In general, I really like the Whipple for almost every situation. But on a 15 GT, I like it even a little bit more. You didn't say if it was a stick or an automatic car, but the 10-speed cars really make the Century like very close to something like the Whipple or closer, because they make their power progressively, whereas the Whipple has a little bit more of a flatter torque curve. That come in as an advantage or a disadvantage. It really depends on what you're doing with it. On a street car, the Procharger and all that is a little bit easier to get hooked up because it doesn't make as much torque down low. But on a 15, whether it's a stick or an auto, in the gearing, I think a Whipple is, what I would put. I had a 15 GT and a 16 GT, and they both had Whipples. So if that answers it. Where are we at here? Random someone. What would you recommend I use to tune a 17 5-liter F-150. Pretty much N-Gauge is the answer all the time. I mean, we like SCT. SCT is great. We still continue to support SCT for those that use SCT. The tune is the same, especially on like 17 and newer vehicles across SCT and N-Gauge, HP tuners and all that. On the newer stuff, we found that HP tuners is a little bit more faster with development. And I don't even think that SCT supports GT500 yet, but we don't really support SCT on anything 18 and newer. So if you don't have a device yet, N-Gauge would be my recommendation. But if you have an SCT device, we can do it. No problem. David Reynolds, are centrifugal blower setups boring to drive on the street compared to a turbo setup? I wouldn't say they're boring, no. It depends, again, on the transmission setup is a big determining factor on all these questions across power adders. But no, Eccentric could be real fun. In fact, sometimes it could be a little bit more fun because depending on tire setup and how much boost you're going to run, a turbo car a lot of times can knock the tires off fairly easily when they spool up, whereas a Eccentric car, it just has that like constant like acceleration feel. It's really cool. I love, especially on any of the newer cars, Century, all of them. That's why when people ask my opinion, what's better, I can only tell you what like I would put on my car, because at that point, obviously, I have to only put one thing on my car, so I have to pick one thing. But that doesn't mean any of the other brands are bad. I mean, I would have no problem putting a Whipple, a Procharger, a Vortec. What else? Those would be my top 3 superchargers for sure. Kenny Bell. I like Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell on the older cars worked awesome. Their blower setups are good. You know, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to change spark plugs on the Coyote setups. But the blowers themselves, I think, are good blowers too. And I get along good with those guys. Jess, 9s with the MT82. I hope so. I hope you realize what you're asking. I hope you're not setting your goals too high. 9s with a true street car that's an MT182, especially a turbo car. Definitely like that. You're not making it easy on yourself. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Walter, that's a good way to look at it. A really badass NA setup, because you don't really like a Whipple. It's like a Whipple is like a really badass, like a big block NA setup, because like the minute you hit the throttle, it's just power and it goes, and you don't really feel any change in power. The Walters would be more like a smaller displacement badass NA setup where it really accelerates with RPM. And, the turbo car has a little bit of a non-linear power band. Google sucks. Do I think the Godzilla motor has an aftermarket future? Absolutely. We actually, let's talk about that for a minute. We got a good amount of people in here. We just got a big shipment in from BMR via Kelly from Keltrack. We're taking my 2005 Mustang GT, and it's just a shell. Like literally, it's like I welded casters onto the bottom of it because there's no suspension, no engine, nothing, no transmission, anything, and put it in storage years ago. Like it's been in storage before Palm Beach Dyno, which started in pretty much since I got the red car. So let's see, who was that? Nickel White. Hey man, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll buy the guys, put that towards some lunch. We had a nice little lunch fund growing. But anyway, on the Godzilla motor, I called up Kelly, and I really didn't want to go through and figure out everything that I needed, and I wanted Kelly's advice anyway. So I asked Kelly to help me, and I said, look, dude, can you please help me just get a full parts list together for every single BMR part I need? You sell me the shocks and struts, Keltrack stuff I need to keep it easy. That's how I like to work on this sort of stuff. Like, some people might want to go through and pick every little part and you know, why would I do that? Because I might pick parts that don't match well together. I don't really pick suspension parts out every single day. If I'm building a race car, it's a little bit different. You know, I might want to do that, but that's not exactly what this is. This is kind of like, anyway, the project is going to be a Palm Beach dyno project. I mean, you know, the guys at RareFab might help out a little bit. It's not that we don't want them to help out. It's just they're busy. Plus, I thought it would be kind of fun to get, instead of just having RareFab do everything, all the guys at the shop are going to do it. You know, hopefully Rob can spend some time with us. James, Kobe, pretty much everybody is going to be welcome. So the suspension just showed up for that. We already have the engine for that. We already have the OBR control systems for that. I'm waiting on a transmission. It's going to be a stick shift car. We're going to keep it naturally aspirated for now. And depending on how that goes, we may stay the NA route with that car. You know, go back to my NA roots. Maybe we can use Brian Wolf's help to build some like 900 plus horsepower NA at the crank and you know, go weights NA. We'll see. Let's see. YKW Racing 2014 Mustang GT auto mods needed for 10-second quarter NA or boost. I mean, NA, you could do it. NA, there's been plenty of 10-second Gen 1 NA cars, but it's going to be way easier with boost. And with a stock converter, the easiest way out of your list there would be a Whipple. The one thing with like a Century car, it's not as big of a deal on a 10-speed car, but it still is a little bit, is, you know, it's hard to get them to leave the line. So where you can kind of get away with a stock converter on, say, a Whipple, you're not going to do that as much on a Paxton. You can race that way. You're just going to, your 60 foot's going to suffer, and that's, you know, there's a lot of ET there. So that's one thing to consider when you're considering a Century versus like a Whipple. David Reynolds, yeah. Ask him, Walter, what he would go with. He just went 840s with his Procharger. I think he really likes Procharger. I love Procharger. In fact, let's. Oh no, I don't have that queued up. But Procharger, like we were talking to Brandon about, you know, where Walter's car stacked up in the Century ETs, and on the 6 or 80 list, the best ET we could find was 870s. And way back when the Coyotes first came out, like, I guess by the time we went that fast, it was like 2013 with Coffee Man's black 2011 Procharged car. I went back and looked, and I know we went 8s with it on boost. I couldn't find the video on that. But with spray, that car went 860s at like 159. But it took spray to get there. But, you know, that was 6 or 80, but, you know, we didn't really have, for instance, the car, I think, only 60-footed, like 135, where Walter went a 126, and RPM, we couldn't get past the RPM limits back then in the day of 7,600 to 8,000. So many things have come since then, but I thought it was pretty cool that, you know, we went 850s back then. That was 7 years ago. So Walter, you know, I'm sure he's got a lot more to go. John Lewis, hey, said thank you for the answers. I appreciate that. Javi 50, Ken, what do you recommend for a manual car as in a supercharger? Well, you know, maybe we need to answer that with a little YouTube video. We've got Jess and her husband Ben. They both have stick shift S550 cars, Gen 2s, and we just put a turbo setup on Jess's car. Well, we didn't put it on there. United put it on there, and we tuned it. And same thing with Ben's car. That one had a Whipple, and we tuned it. And they're both, at least right now, kind of similar, so I'm sure they'll be doing all kinds of racing. They also have their own channel. I don't know how much they're putting up on there, but we'll be doing some stuff on Palm Beach Dyno's channel and all that. Personally, I had a 15 and a 16 Gen 2 stick car, and I put Whipples on both of those. But I think stick shift turbo cars are awesome. I mean, you really can't go wrong. I would say mix it up. If you never had a turbo stick shift car, maybe it's a good time to try it. J Hunter 19 on the Gen 5 Whipple on a 2018 GT. What's the limit on the 6 rib setup before having to go 10 rib on E85? Good question. We just did, I'm not going to tell you the results, but you'll see it on our channel, but I'm going to wait a while because it's Mustang Lifestyles car. Go to Mustang Lifestyles YouTube channel. We just tuned their GT350 today on a 6 rib setup. This is on a 2.9, but the pulley, what the pulley can handle should be the same. We went from a 3.6 pulley, put E85 in it, and then went down to a 3.3 pulley. What I've seen on that car and what I've seen on other cars is the 3.3 pulley can kind of hold on the dyno, but it wears out it slips a little and you'll wear it out really, really fast. So it's kind of like a glory run pulley, that, you know, you can throw on with a fresh belt and go to the track and go fast with it. But if you've been driving it around a while, it might, you know, slip. So 3.5 is what I recommend on a 6 rib for most of the time, and 3.3 for glory runs. Shay Hastings, I'm just getting into the muscle Mustang world, and all this info is a huge help. Thank you. If you have any questions, let us know. Eric Nierenberg, I don't know how to say your name. Eric, we went with the Auburn Diff 315, no go, had to go 331. Yeah, you know, it definitely doesn't. That's not great. I mean, the gearing definitely does not help going up. But we can make it work. We can make anything work. Jess, if it was easy, everyone would do it. Talking about stick shift. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm really looking forward. I'm looking forward to getting back to real life. We haven't had that for a long time. Everybody's cars are getting done. Palm Beach International Raceway has had track opening, but it really hasn't been like it should be, where we can all get together. I want to do some track rentals just for Palm Beach Dyno people. We're going to do that very, very soon. It's coming in, you know, it's our time. It's our time. It's October almost, another month or two. It's going to get nice and cool. So anybody down here in South Florida, or anybody that wants to schedule a vacation down here, we'll go ahead and post that up on our, we'll talk about it in the videos and post it up on our social media when we plan on doing our track. We'll do it like a customer appreciation type track rental day, but we'll limit it. It'll probably be like 20 cars. And if you can't get in on that one, then we'll just do it over the winter time. Maybe we'll probably do it once a month, and we'll do like 20 cars each time. And if you can't get in on the first one, you get in on the second one, stuff like that. And maybe we'll get Kelly from Keltrack to come to those. So if you're working with Kelly, he can help dial in your car and all that stuff. And maybe we can even do those at different tracks. You know, Palm Beach International Raceway is a great track, but maybe we can do it with Victor over at Bradenton too. Since Kelly's over there, we'll go over there. He'll come over here. So who knows? I'm just making all this up right now. Sounds like fun though. Alex Garcia definitely should go all out NA 7.3. Yeah, I think I'm going to go that route, especially seeing what Brian Wolf was able to make with on his blown motor, but naturally aspirated. Very, very impressive. So, let's see. Brian Crawford. Hey, Ken, what's your thoughts on comp turbos? Let's see. Well, first off, I've never personally held one in my hand. So I've tuned a lot of cars with them. I've talked to a lot of people that have used them, and I think they're pretty good. So, you know, I definitely see the attraction to using them with the whole oilless thing, for sure. And they do and can work in that application. I've heard you got to pack the grease, all that stuff. I've never done it, so, you know, I'm kind of biased. I personally am really into, well, I mean, I guess it's how I am with a lot of things. I really like to try and stay up with the newest stuff. I like technology. I like improving things. So unfortunately for me, that also comes with price tag a lot of the time. But like the Zona turbos, those are my favorite turbos. They're American made. They're priced competitively. They don't have like cheaper lines, like say Precision. You've got like say the 64, 66 that everybody runs. that's not a cheap turbo. And Zona has a turbo that's just right in line with that, similar pricing and all that. It's just that Precision has cheaper ones for entry level where Zona doesn't. It's just good turbos. That's it. So, and there's nothing wrong with Precision. I like Precision, Turbonetics. Bought them recently. We did Turbonetics turbos on Jess's car that were super badass. So we'll be talking about those soon. But my own personal choice, again, if we're talking about what I would put on my car has Zona turbos on it. So that's what I like. Mike Diaz, man, I was about to pull the trigger on a Hellion twin turbo kit tomorrow. You guys are making me feel like I should do a Procharger instead. You know, that's easy to do. That's all right, Mike. Let's put it this way. We did a Hellion car on our dyno this last week, owned by CJ, that I've spoken about his car. His car is a 2018 A10 car. His car has been on 1320, racing McLarens and a bunch of street racing videos, racing really fast cars when it had a stock motor, and it did very well. Well, his build just got done, and he's going to be at FL2K. I'm not sure if he's going to be at the track, but he stays on the street. They have like a easy access to Mexico over there, and that car, I can't even tell you how insane it is. The power it made, especially considering the turbos it has on it. It's still not even. It's just. Well, put it this way. I think he posted it on Facebook. He put 1,500, north of 1,500, and we got more to go. So that's what I think about the Hellion sleeper kit. You can't go wrong with any of them, though. 1,500, you could probably make that with 3.8 Whipple. X/Dash, would you be more satisfied switching to a PBD tune from Lund? You know, that's impossible to answer. Obviously, I'm a little biased there. What I can tell you is, you know, yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I think you'd be happy. But I'm, you know, if you put it this way, although I would love to have your business, if you're not unhappy with your current tune, I don't see a reason in spending the money. But if you want to try something different, we'd be more than happy to have you. Shay Hastings, I already asked this, but it's way up in the chat. On a Gen 2 with the P1X, would you recommend E85 to make 750 to 800? Yes. On a Gen 2, you know, you're really pushing the limits. Well, first off, when you're talking any Sentry, especially on a Gen 2, you have to talk about the intake manifold, because Sentries make power up top, and the Gen 2 intake manifold isn't too great up top. So, although you can make good power with them, sometimes they don't pull as good up top as, say, if you put an 18 intake manifold. So when you're talking just numbers like that, it's a little hard to really nail it down. But I recommend E85 for everybody. If you have E85 in your town, it's easy to get, and you're really into this, which you probably are if you're watching this, you should be running E85, because it's like, you know, it's like wearing a helmet, you know. You don't have to wear a helmet, but if you crash, you're going to want to have a helmet on. And that's what E85 does for you, regardless of the power you're going to make. Let's say you want to make 650, run it on E85 if you can, because it's safer if you have a problem. In the early days of tuning the Coyotes, we had an issue at the Texas Mile where I went down the track super lean, but I was on E85 and nothing happened. I went 186 miles an hour lean the whole entire way. Anyway, so E85 is the answer to everything, really. The main reason not to run E85 is if you can't get it, or if you do have to commute with your car, like long distances, even if you can get E85 the whole way, I guess filling up your gas tank that much more would kind of suck. But I don't really drive my E85 vehicles that way. Clutch do I like for a 17 Whipple Stage 2 car that won't kill the MT82 in short order? I don't know. I'd probably look into the new stuff from Lethal. Lethal partnered up with McLeod and has some new stuff out that's based off of the RXT stuff, and you know, I would look into that. I'm the Mantic Nick. I don't know if you go by Nick or not, but I'm gonna call you Nick because it's short. The Mantic, we haven't had a whole lot of luck with Mantic. I mean, there's definitely been some cars we've tuned with Mantic. Andrew's GT350 we tuned today had the Mantic in it. I didn't actually drive it, but it held some pretty big power that you'll have to tune into Mustang Lifestyle to see. But you know, I've always been a McLeod fan. I love the look of your GT500 billet top. Thank you. We appreciate that. I think it's going to be really, really cool once we get it, you know, all anodized and really finalized. It looks, I mean, the test unit looked badass, but it's going to look even better. Are turbos easier? What can I stroke the current 5.0 block to? That NA car that I said that made 700 NA on pump gas was a 347. I don't believe you can buy that crank anymore, though. I can't remember who made that. ERL, I think, had to do with that crank. Or maybe Wiseco. I can't remember. They made some of them. JPC made one. A couple other people made some 347 GT Coyotes. And they'd stopped making a crank. If you can get one of those crank or get one custom made, though, they made it work. Are turbos easier on the oil pump gears than a supercharger? Yeah, theoretically, I would say yes. Not theoretically, they are. But I've seen oil pump gears break on turbo cars. Oil pump gears are a bigger problem on Gen 1s. I'm not really a big believer in it being super critical for you to change oil pump gears on a Gen 2 or 3. It's not a bad idea, but it's not like, oh, you better do that or you're screwed. I think that's the answer on Gen 1, though. Blue 99, thank you. Yeah. Interchangeable. Generally, there might be some small differences, but I think you can run them. I don't know. I better not answer that. I don't build engines, but I'm pretty sure if they're not the same, they're really close. Yeah, if you haven't seen the update on the lid, I played it in the very beginning. I started off with that, so I would rewind this when we're done later and look at it. It's real cool. It's going to accept the factory snake and all that kind of stuff on top. E. Lopez 101, do you guys tune EcoBoost Mustangs? I love the work, by the way. Yes, we do. We don't do a lot of them. We don't have a huge demand for EcoBoost Mustangs, but we tune all EcoBoosts. And especially Mustangs, but we do a lot of Explorers. We do F-150s. We're going to be doing a lot more F-150s. We just really haven't been putting a bunch of videos out on that stuff, so you don't hear a lot about it from us, but we've been tuning a lot. And Rob's truck is a beast. We got to do a video on Rob's truck. I think if we do a video on Rob's truck, we'll sell a lot more F-150 EcoBoost stuff. But yeah, the Mustang EcoBoost stuff, the big issue with that, man, is they're a little fragile. So you got to be real careful with them. A-Wheeler, do PBD burble tunes negatively affect cats or O2 sensors? I can't imagine it being very good for the catalytic converters. No. O2 sensors, I don't see it being a problem. But cats, I could see it being a problem, especially if you're using it like excessively. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. It's giving me an error at 928 here. Anyway. Yeah, the EcoBoosts like to put holes in the casting. That's why they call them Eco Booms. The problem is the rods in those things, and I don't really know where the newest ones are. I don't keep up with them as far as the internal parts. But early on, the rods were really cheap. I think you could buy a stock rod for $12. And if, you know, regardless of where you had to tune, depending on how you drive it and how quickly the boost comes in, you can run into some pretty big problems fairly quickly with those. All right, guys. Where are we at here? Got any more questions for me or any more topic stuff you want to hear about? Rolling up on an hour and a half, so... Smoking Nitto, do you tune VMP Gen 3R? And if so, what pulley do you recommend for it? 850 horsepower. Yeah. Yes, we do. I believe we've tuned the fastest one, or one of the fastest one. David Bowen, back when he had the 6R80, went 850s with a Gen 3R, I believe, at the Mod Nationals. What was your question? No, pulley for 850. We actually sell pulleys for those, so you might want to give us a call, or you can, for anybody that wants to contact us for advice or anything like that. There's lots and lots of ways to contact us. Probably one of the best ways right now during business hours, other than calling us, would be chat. We have chat installed right on the homepage. When it's not active, it just says help. But during the day, when Austin and those guys and Don and Mike are all logged in, you can chat directly with them. You can send us a message on Facebook business page, Instagram business page. You can call us. You can email us at support@pbdyno.com. We have a PBD customers group that you can post in there and get some help from other customers as well as us. So, there's all kinds of ways to contact us for that kind of advice. So if you're really at a point of making a purchase, I'd encourage you to hit us up and we can kind of put together a package for you. A-Wheeler, what's the easiest way to go 949 or lower on an 18 Mustang, in your opinion? Probably. So when you're talking about going fast at the drag strip, it's a lot more than just power to weight, okay? So all these cars can make great power to weight. So what's the difference? Let's talk about that, because I think this is a pretty good topic. You've got 3 general combos, and we won't even put brands to it. We'll put turbo, positive displacement, which is Whipple, TVS, things like that, and centrifugal. Let's forget about NA. Obviously, you said 950s. So all 3 of those can make very good power when you do a dyno, and it will look great. But all 3 of those may run differently at the track depending on what other modifications you have. So consider this. The turbo car, does it have a trans brake? Does it have a 2-step? If not, it's probably going to be a little bit slower than its potential. We've gone fast on foot brake 6R80 cars with turbos, but it's definitely more difficult. Then you have the centrifugal car. Does it have a converter? Well, if it doesn't have a converter, it may not 60-foot very well. Once it gets going, it's going to trap really well. It's going to ET good, but not necessarily as good as it would with a converter. Now you've got the Whipple car, and it doesn't need the 2-step. It doesn't need a trans brake, and you can get by a little bit easier without the converter. So at that level, with just the power adder and a couple other supporting mods, not saying like converter or 2-step or trans brake, then, the Whipple has the advantage. But then you start adding all those other mods to the different combinations, and then they become more close. So, for all out, though, I don't think anybody's really going to argue that Whipple, that a turbo is, if you're going all out, no holds barred, it's kind of hard to compete with the turbo, because you can make endless power with them if you can get it to work. Let's see. Got a couple questions to catch up here. With the 56-pound injectors that come with the P1X BNF for $750, I was asking earlier. What power that you're going to get you're going to be able to support on any particular injector is definitely going to depend on RPM. So on a P1X, if you have, say, an 18 intake manifold on it and you're spinning 8,000 plus RPM, you're going to need more injector than if you were shifting it at, say, 7,500. So the 56s would probably work, but you're going to be getting close to the end. Jacob's Ride, Gen 2, S550, 6R80 car and pump E85. What is your opinion on a VMP Gen 3R? What boost level would it take to run, say, a 9.0, a 9.2, and what converter should I use? We went 890s with Kelly Aiken's car, like early on, with I don't even think it was a 3R back then. It might have just been a 3 or 2 or I don't know. We went $899 with that car. I would say it just really depends on what it weighs. I would think you can get there. It depends if you do a lower. A lot of people, when they get on those blowers, do lower 20% lowers, so or 15% lower. So if you got a lower on it, I would probably start out in, if you're using R pulleys, probably like, I'd probably start with like a 275 and work my way down from there. That's with the overdrive lower. If you're not doing that, then you just got to go as small as possible. Shay, on E85, no, that's not going to happen. 56s won't work on E85, period, unless you're trying to make like 5 something. Guessing not with a blower. Repairing a 2.3 block. Yeah, I know that MPR, who's in town here, when UPR was trying to go fast with theirs and kept breaking blocks, they kept repairing them or trying to come up with a solution to make them hold together. Stephen Rogue, any update on the new bigger Whipple? Do you think they will update the 3.0 Gen 5 2 or just stick with the new updates on the bigger one? There's new updates constantly on all of them. We're constantly testing new stuff. Like the newest Gen 5 3-liter stuff is just insane. Like Carlos Ferra's car is just ridiculous. 1,100 horsepower with a 3.5 pulley. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of updating there to do. I did talk to Dustin, and he said he's got some new stuff for us above what we already have. So we'll try that. So I think the 3.8 and the 3.0 will be very developed side by side and stay very up to date, both of them, and they'll just be 2 different size blowers of the same. Everything else being on the same playing field. Good inlets and everything's really good. Good intercoolers, stuff like that. Eric, now that you carry E1, is switching from VP C85, what's the pail to ask for? For most power editor cars, I would recommend ethanol 1R, which is the equivalent to like say Ignite or C85 or any of the top of the line E85 race E85s. E85, the 1-ethanol S would be good to use either for NA vehicles or it's probably fine for anything really. I run my car at 1,100 on pump, so it's really still good. But I guess if you're gonna spend the good money on the race E85, you might as well get the better stuff, in my opinion. Let's see, where was Terry Day on my stock short block Whipple car on E85? Will race E85 make more power than pump E85 with the same tune? It depends. I've done a lot of testing on this, and I've had a lot of other people do testing on this that I trust their testing, and the results are inconclusive, and it's because E85 pump is not E85 pump. Our E85 pump here in South Florida is very good, especially right here in Palm Beach County. So when I've done back-to-back testing with, say, our pump, and Ignite, and a couple others, like we don't pick up a huge amount. But now you go to different areas where the ethanol fuels are not as good, then there could be a huge window there to pick up, a huge opportunity there to pick up over pump because the pump's not as good. So it's a loaded question, like everything almost is. But here in South Florida, I run it in my car, the 1-ethanol now, because why not, right? Like my car is my baby. I have so much money into that car, ridiculous amount of money. And I can't run 1-ethanol driving it around all the time and run pump gas. But if I'm going to take it to the track and beat on it, how much am I going to really go through? 1 can at full retail of 1-ethanol R is $60. I'm only going to go through 1 can, Maybe I need 2 cans when I go to the track to make sure there's enough fuel in the tank. So for $120 for my GT500 or any car, I don't care what it is. It could be, you could go out right now and buy a 2011 Mustang GT, build a 680, throw a blower on it, and make over 1,000 horsepower. Well, obviously put some rods and pistons in it and make over 1,000 horsepower. So you're still going to have like 30, 40 grand into that setup. And like, what's another $120 every time you go to the track? That's the way I look at it when it comes to race E85. And I never used to always be that way. And, but you know, over time, you just, I don't want any gotchas, you know, especially when I'm traveling. You know, if I'm traveling racing, I don't want to work. Sometimes I'll bring E85 with me when I would always run pump. But sometimes you're trying to get it locally and you just really can't get anywhere there. So, Terry, the answer is depends on how good the pump E85 is in your area. My next question. I have the Lund Engage. Would I need to purchase a new Engage or could I reuse what I have? That kind of depends. I think you pretty much have to buy one, I think. There is a way to get them unlocked, but that I don't know if they're wanting to do that anymore. So I think your best bet is to sell that to somebody who wants a Lund tuned if you want to switch, and then we can sell you one of ours. Corey, 2014 YSI B 680 car on a 2.9 pulley, seeing 15 PSI, thinking of going on 3 single for more fun on the street and less stress on internals. Opinion. I don't think that's a bad move. You know, I love Vortec or Sentries in general. But they could be a little bit hassle, especially with belts, and then changing the belt on that YSI on a 14 is probably not a whole lot of fun when you have to do that. And of course, you know, a good option now, thanks to MFP. I don't know if what they have works with Vortec. I would assume if not, it will, or they can make it work. But their crank supports are badass. So, you know, that's another option as far as less stress. Once you add the crank support that they're offering nowadays, you know, it becomes a little bit less of a concern. I assume on that, Corey, that you've got a built motor. One of one RTR, going to have to make an appointment with you folks to bring my car out for some upgrade. Thanks. Yeah, give us a call. We could definitely take care of you. For any in-person appointments, it's best to call. Our phones are very, very busy. We just added Mike, our new guy. So we have 3 people answering the phones now, and they're still very busy. So if you're having trouble getting through on the phones, be sure to leave a message, or you can always email us or message us your phone number with a short note about what you're calling about, and then we can call you. You know, the guys, when they get between calls, they can call you, so you don't have to wait on the phone. What do I think the most horsepower I will see on my GT500? With the stock blower, I think the very most we're going to hit is 1,200. I don't know if we'll ever get there. That's the goal. I think we'll definitely hit 1,150, or I hope to. I mean, you never know. Right now, 1,100 is where we're at. 1,150 seems definitely there with a couple changes. 1,200 possibly. And at that point, I have to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it there. Am I going to put a Whipple on it? Am I going to twin turbo it? I don't know. My original plans were actually to twin turbo the car, and then I went down the ported blower path, and I absolutely love the car. It's absolutely insane, and I really, really want to enjoy it for quite some time like this. So I really hope to not make any more changes. So whatever it makes on this ported blower setup with the billet lid and all the little tricks that we're doing, you know, whether even if it's 1,100, that's fine. But I'm hoping for 12. Is it okay to run low fuel level to help weight reduction? No. Excuse me. Especially, it depends on the car. A-Wheeler, thanks for comments on the tune, by the way. But as far as running a low fuel level, no. Most cars, not okay, especially power outer cars, because the acceleration rate is so high when you leave that you're going to starve with the pumps. We ran into this issue on Jimmy's 7-second 6 or 80 car. We had to run a full tank of gas, or else you know, the car was going 120 60 foots, but the car would go real lean on launch because it would start with a fuel pump. And that was on an S550. I think a S197 might be a little bit better, but there's not that much of a difference. John, someone in Oklahoma needs to start selling 1-ethanol. I'll talk to Trevor about it. Trevor works for us as our NA guy. He may be interested in selling it at Tricky Performance if he has room to store it. I don't really have room to store it, but we're working around that. Corey, Gen 2 short block with head studs, blower's too big and needs to be spun more, so it's pretty lazy on 3 twins or single. If you're worried about the blower being lazy, then, you know, single, I'm not a big single turbo fan, to be honest with you. I mean, I would build a single turbo car if I was running like a race class, which, you know, someday I hope to get back into racing. And at that point, it'll probably be a single turbo outlaw style car, unless, you know, I have the budget to go like radial versus the world, which I don't. But outside of a race car, I prefer a twin turbo car. Which can be lazy. My twin turbo car is actually lazy, but they're twin 72s. So it just really depends on where you're going with on power. If you're looking for 800 or 900, I think you can be happy with a single. When you get into a high power, the single becomes a little bit less desirable on a street car. Bert, 5.0 93 octane fuel. What is good safe horsepower? Depends on what generation you're talking about. Anywhere from 400 to on 93 octane, I don't know. I think we've seen probably 460s on the Gen 3s or higher. I haven't done a whole lot of NA stuff recently, to be honest with you. On a 93 car. On E85 cars, we'll see, high 400s on Gen 3. Revit Racing, on a Whipple Gen 5, would you use the chiller setup instead of the ice tank? No, I'm not a big fan of that setup. I'm sure it has its place, and I'm sure maybe I'm being a little tough on it. But I just prefer, I prefer ice. The chiller deal is cool, but it's kind of counterintuitive to me. The car has to be running to cool the water, but after a pass, I kind of want to shut my car off so the engine cools off. So there's that. And ice, unless, ice is a pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong. I hate messing with ice, but it's not that big of a deal, and you can get ice anywhere. If your chiller stops working, or you forgot to turn it on, now you got, who knows? I don't really know. Maybe it'll work for some people, but certainly not anything I'm looking to do on my car. Robert Howe, just downloaded our E85 tune 10 minutes ago with VPC 85, and it's legit now. He didn't say it's. Night and day difference. You guys are awesome. Can't wait for the revision to really test it. No problem. I'm glad it's running good for you. Frederick Watkins says, what the freak? I have no idea what he's talking about. Terry Day, running E85 all the time, safe on injectors and fuel system. Yes. There's a lot of people that will make recommendations to run 93 octane through it occasionally. And if you want to be very careful, that's not bad advice, but I never do that. My GT500 doesn't get daily driven. In fact, I've had it since right after Christmas, and it only has 3,500 miles, probably 3,000 on the dyno. But it sits around all the time on a GT5 in hot, humid weather, and it's fine. Smoke and Nitto, would you have to tune for Pro E85 or the same as regular? There's slight differences. Most of them ignite. The 1-ethanol I'm just really getting used to right now, so I can't answer that. You need they require a hair more fuel. They're more like E90, closer to E90 than E85. Carl Con, how many cubic inches is a 5.2? Well, I don't really know what it really is, but that would work out to be 320 or a little less. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I did the math right. we talk about everything in liters. Colby, recommendation on ordering E85 if it's not in the area you live in. That's a good question. You know, we've had a lot of questions on shipping E85, and I just don't really see that being. I don't know. I don't know what the laws are. I mean, it's hazardous. So like when it comes, when we get it, it comes truck freight. So really the only way to do it would be to order it truck freight. So you'd have to, and it's something I'm not sure we want to get into. You know, we get our fuel through a distributor. Real Street Performance is a distributor in Florida for 1-ethanol. Maybe they'll ship directly to consumers on truck freight. But at that point, if you're shipping it, you'd want to order like a 55-gallon drum and keep it in your garage. But we don't do that. So I'm not really sure. Like it's probably at least $100 or more. Now you could probably get somebody in your area and like four 55-gallon drums fit on one pallet, and it's probably the same price no matter how many drums are on there. So if you get people in your area and, you know, get 4 drums, then it could become economical, I suppose. Random someone, what kind of gain should I expect on your Engage tuner on my 17.50 F-150? Power-wise, you know, on an NA setup, on a 5.0, you know, it kind of depends a little bit on the quality of your 93 octane or whatever fuel. I think you said 93, whatever fuel you were tuning on. But you can expect between probably like 20 horsepower, somewhere right around there. But you know, there's more than just the power you're gaining. You're gaining transmission tuning and stuff like that. So it just generally will drive better. So we're rolling up on 2 hours here, guys. So get any questions left in, and I will get to them. I'm going to try and cut this off right around 2 hours. Blue 99, thank you for the tip. Got a Boss SB Gen 1 heads cams. Whose heads? With P1 Procharger, what pulley should I grab to make over 800 at elevation? That's a tough question. I can't answer that off the top of my head. I don't know the Procharger pulleys off the top of my head to begin with, especially when we're accounting for the elevation. But if you shoot us an email, we can get that information for you from Procharger, from Eric, or somebody over there will give us a good idea of at least a good starting point. I think that's a great idea, though. I mean, that's something I've tried to do in the past. I've been doing this for a really long time, and in the past, I've tried to make spreadsheets and different web pages to show you all the different pulley combos for the boost, but it's kind of hard to get right. Random someone ran 13.7 at 100 already with no tune. Yeah, I'd say you'd be real low 13s, probably a high 12 maybe. Obviously, weather's a factor. That's funny about E85. Walter, 1-ethanol S versus good pump E85. Again, you know, like on a car like yours in particular, I would recommend whether it's 1-ethanol or a different race E85. You got a lot of time and money invested into your vehicle, and like good pump E85. So let's talk about that. We're gonna. What is good? You're testing it, and the problem is most testers aren't really telling you too much. It's a good gauge, but it's not telling you that much. And one thing it's not telling you, it's not telling you what's in that other 85%. Let's say it's 85% ethanol. Let's say what's the other 15%? We know it's hydrocarbons, but is it 87 octane, or what kind of crap have they mixed in there? They had a bunch of this other crap mixed over. They don't even know what it is. Throw it in there. That sounds kind of crazy and like not realistic, but that's kind of what can happen, because the rules on what they can put in pump E85 for that other 15% are pretty wide open, because they're not building that to be race fuel. As long as your stock F-150 with flex fuel runs on it, it's fine. So, you know, that's the big thing to consider when you're talking about race E85 versus pump E85 is peace of mind. So, you know, I drive your car on pump, but when you go to the track, I put some good stuff in there. And it doesn't even have to be, there's cheaper things. Like there's the S, which is cheaper than the R, and S would be like more of like a a pump replacement, probably a lot better than pump as far as it's a little higher octane, and you're guaranteed to get the same thing every time. But you know, there's also Ignite. Any name brand E85 race E85 is probably a good plan. Hey Wheeler, what is the other 15% in one ethanol fuel? That's a good question. I'll look into that. One of the reasons that I picked one ethanol to run now over Ignite, which I like Ignite, don't get me wrong, but speaking with Ray or Jay at Real Street, Ignite has toluene in it, which is toxic. I think that's how you say it. But it's toxic. It's an old hot roddish trick for years. People used to put that in just regular 93 octane, but it's not really good to breathe in. So 1-ethanol R is similar performance without that in there. Rashad, do you think I could put a 10 R80 trans in a GT350? Yes, you could definitely put it in there. But I guess you're probably asking me if I can get it to run. Man, there's definitely a couple of hurdles there. One being, it depends on what you're going to do with the rest of the car. You pretty much would just have to put, set it up like a Mustang GT, meaning like the fuel system on a GT350 is much different than a Mustang GT. So to run the GT trans, you have to have a GT programming on that computer. So at that point, it's not going to run your GT350 fuel system. So you would have to reconfigure the fuel system in some way to make it work for sure. That would be one hurdle. I don't know. Maybe somebody's already done it. I would think so. I mean, we've done all kinds of crazy swaps like that on 6R80s. I don't see why we couldn't do it with 10R80s, but I haven't personally done it. We haven't done a whole lot of 10R80 swaps to begin with. So, hopefully those will be coming out a little bit more. We're going a lot faster with 10R80s than we used to. So hopefully there'll be a lot more than that. All right, guys, I'm about to wrap it up unless there's any more questions. I'll give you just a couple more seconds. We're creeping up on 2 hours. Yeah, I know there's 6R80 GT350s. We've done those, and we've done 6R80 bosses and all that, but I don't know about the 10R80. The 6R80, I assume they switched to the Mustang computer, so at that point, it's the same basic idea. We just haven't done it with the 10R80. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for being here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Please, share it with your friends. If you guys, thanks, Jess. And thanks, A. Wheeler. If you guys have any suggestions for topics, you can always reply to this video or send it in. Thanks, Walter. Awesome car. Thanks for having us tune it. Ran someone on a stock 1750. A lot of guys changed the intake manifolds, so that'll make a big difference. So thanks, Brandon. But anyway, please come back next week. And then this week coming up, also, I want to talk about some videos we have coming up. Mustang Lifestyle was at the shop today with their GT350. I'm going to let their video drop so you can check that out, but we'll be covering it in our own video. Hopefully later this week, we will have a new video on the GT500 with the 2.27 pulley, shooting for 1100 horsepower plus. What else? We're getting ready for FL2K. Anybody that's going to FL2K that needs some 1-ethanol fuel, let us know. We can bring over a bunch of it. We got a bunch in stock. Just probably be best to call us ahead of time and pay for it, and we'll bring it over rather than just, I don't think we're going to bring any to sell there. You have to buy it ahead of time. Brandon, I am not coming to Bowling Green, most likely. The big issue is concentrating on a GT500, and they're not going to let me run without a cage. It's going to be that fast. So, random someone. See you guys. Good night. See you next time.